Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Future of BizTech. I'm your host, JC Granger, and I have another fantastic guest on the show with me today. If you end up loving this episode, please show your love and appreciation by following this podcast wherever you're listening, and be sure to give it 5 stars, preferably with a comment or two in there. It always helps with the algorithms, because that is how other techies like you and I can find podcasts like this. And today I have the absolute pleasure of interviewing Michael Wang, the founder and CEO of Prometheus. Michael, thank you so much for coming on the show. Why don't you tell the audience a little bit about yourself and what does Prometheus Alternative Investments do?
Sure, absolutely. So on myself, really quickly, I started off as an investment banker doing M&A at Citigroup, and most of my career has been on Wall Street. So after Citi, I joined a large hedge fund called SAC Capital, worked for a guy named Stevie Cohen. So for those viewers out there, if you don't know what hedge fund is, there is a show called Billions on Showtime. That's actually based on the actual manager and fund I used to work for.
And the old Axe Capital, the
real Axe Capital. In fact, the logo
I love
is
that
almost
show.
a carbon copy of the original SAC Capital logo.
Kidding.
The office is a carbon copy of the actual office that they have in Stamford, Connecticut.
Well, see, now I have to go look online. I got to find this now. I love that show.
Yep. And so I worked for Stevie Cohen for about 5 years and helped grow one of the larger portfolios there. And then in 2012, I left SAC to join a guy named Jason Carpin, launching a hedge fund called Tourbillon Capital. There's a global long-short equity fund, grew that to a couple $1 billion. Now, this was all on the East Coast of New York. I moved from New York to LA, where I'm currently back in 2015 to take over the oldest hedge fund still in existence called Cypress. So I was running Cypress for about 5 years with my partner, Robert Day. And who's the founder in 1969, by the way. After I was running Cypress, I decided, you know what, I'm going to leave the fund management industry to pursue this idea that I have for quite some time, to essentially democratize access to hedge funds, venture funds, private equity, etc. And not just give people access to a great asset class they've never had access to before, but also educate people on essentially financial literacy. So in a nutshell, what Prometheus is, it's a social marketplace for alternative funds. Let me break that down really quickly in 2 pieces. On the marketplace front, think of it almost like Robinhood, but instead of coming here to buy and sell stocks, you're shopping for hedge funds, venture funds, crypto funds, private equity, etc. And then how the social piece fits into the equation is that it serves as a safe and professional platform for these managers on Wall Street to actually feel comfortable posting content, because most managers on Wall Street don't post on Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, etc. But they're posting on Prometheus, and they're posting on Prometheus right now. So it's the only place that you could go to get real-time insights and to interact directly with some of the best investors in the world. So think of the social part as Twitter, but with pros on Wall Street.
Interesting. So now, does Prometheus offer the ability for smaller investors? And by the way, are these individual people or these licensed people that are on the app?
Individual people. Anybody can join Prometheus, whether you are what's called an accredited investor or not. And so anybody can get access to the social and start learning and engaging directly with some of these professional managers, get their real-time insights in the markets. However, because of regulations and very archaic regulatory laws we're talking about 1933 and 1940, the marketplace right now is only available to accredited investors and above. So what's the definition of accredited investor? It's somebody who makes over 200 grand a year if they're single, for instance, or has $1 million net worth and above. So, but what we want to do is we want to break down those barriers for folks to be able to access this product, because it makes no sense to us that anybody can go to a casino, gamble their money away. Anybody can lever up and buy whatever, Dogecoin or whatever altcoin that they want to, but they can't invest in a low volatility, uncorrelated hedge fund that consistently generates, low double-digit returns. Makes absolutely no sense for us. So we have to change these laws. We're going to be evangelists for breaking down these laws. And but there are other things that we're working on right now, which will allow even unaccredited investors to be able to participate in our marketplace. So stay tuned.
Got it. So you have the social side for the unaccredited, And to be, like you said, to be an accredited investor, it's really just about a net worth. It's not a license or anything like that.
There is a few different, I guess, thresholds that you can meet to qualify to be an accredited investors. So there's the income threshold, so that's 200K above. There's net worth threshold, which is $1 million and above. And then most recently, though, and this is why I do think the SEC is sort of headed into the right direction, is that they allow you to be deemed accredited, even if you don't meet the income or the net worth threshold, if you've passed the Series 7, I think the Series 63. So you can get licensed and become accredited without meeting any of the income or net worth thresholds. So that's a relatively new thing.
Okay, let's go backwards for a little second here, and we'll come back to this because I want to hear specifically later on if there's any advantages or any cool features that licensed individuals can do within your platform, or if that's coming. But for now, I want to know, why did you start this, right? Like I hear that you don't like the laws. A lot of people start things because they get frustrated with something, right? And you're like, well, what sense does this make? Why can't, you want to get in on this? But what's your villain origin story when it comes to the day you said, all right, I'm leaving. I'm gonna keep calling it Axe Cap because I just love the show so much. I'm leaving Axe Cap and I'm going to LA and I'm starting the software. Like what was that moment? Like why make that move? What was really that tipping point for you?
Yeah. I always view myself as a white knight, not a villain, but I'll take villain for today. So why did I start this thing? It's a phenomenal question. It's because I was a manager for 15 years before I started this thing on Wall Street. And there were just a lot of friction points and a lot of problems that are very apparent for me, being an operator in the industry, that I wanted to address that nobody else was addressing. So for instance, to give you an instance of how tech archaic our industry is, if you want to invest in a private equity fund or a venture fund or a hedge fund today, you got to fill out a 100-page subscription document, essentially by hand manually.
Oh, geez.
Now, if you want to, let's say you want to invest in 2 separate funds, well, you're essentially filling out the same information twice. Right? We're in 2022 here. We have to automate this. So that's just even a single example of how tech archaic the industry is. And I wanted to modernize the industry. Okay. And at the same point in time, one of the things that was occurring during the pandemic was, Robinhood became really popular. Investing in the public equities markets, investing in general became culturally relevant. But where was the retail population going for their investment insights? They're going to Reddit. They're doing Discord. They're going to StockTwits. They're going to Twitter. In which case, what are they doing? They're sourcing investment advice from other 19-year-old kids who probably have no experience, have no idea what they're talking about. I found that quite a bit dangerous. And quite frankly, a lot of traders have learned the hard way over the past year, having lost a lot of money, probably, and trying to trade in these markets by taking insights about investing, from people who aren't qualified to give those insights. And so I wanted to build a platform where users can come to learn financial literacy, to learn the right way how to invest, not how to speculate, but how to invest directly from the pros. There ain't no better way to learn about investing from a practitioner, a professional who's done this for many, many years. So I wanted to give that to people. And then obviously what I touched upon earlier as well is giving people access to these great wealth creating products that was only previously in the purview of the ultra wealthy and the largest institutions, right? Sure. I want to make it available to doctors, lawyers, engineers. These are all, there's a lot of accredited people that don't have access to this asset class. So
is there a B2B aspect to your software? For example, do you have anything in your system that you partner with companies with large amounts of employees, for example, where you can bring them on and then their employees can benefit? I mean, is there anything I know you work with a lot of direct people, but is there any B2B aspect here, that angle?
Absolutely, because our audience is twofold on the demand side, right? So what we were just talking about is certainly the retail community, high net worth individuals, doctors, lawyers, et cetera. But then the other market that we're actually also tackling on the demand side are, institutions, particularly RIAs, registered investment advisors. There's 20,000 RIAs here in the US. And on average, they only have about 3% of their clients' assets in alternatives. And it's not because they don't want 30, 40, 50% of their clients' assets in alternatives. It's because the average RA running $50 million in Wichita, Kansas has no ability to access the latest hedge fund, venture fund, et cetera, right? So we want to build this platform to accommodate those RAs as well, and maybe family offices, et cetera, and give them a place where they could discover managers, diligence their managers in one place, get to know them through the content that they're posting, and finally be able to transact on the platform. In addition to that, on the supply side, so who's our supply? Our supply of products are managers, our hedge fund managers, private equity managers, venture managers, crypto managers, et cetera. Well, those are our supplies. So we have contracts with them. We give them essentially an external investor relations portal where they could house all of their content, all of their documents, from marketing materials, investor letters, to their subscription documents, all in one place. Because what's occurring right now is, if you're a fund manager, most fund managers are actually also the investor relations person, and if you meet with a prospective investor, let's say I'm a fund manager, I met you, what would I do after the meeting? I would send you an email with 7 different attachments: my marketing deck, my investor letters, my subscription docs, et cetera. And I have to do that every time I meet with a new investor. Well, instead of doing that at Prometheus, we could house all their documents so that the investor, that you could just go straight to Prometheus and access all that information in one place. So,
okay. Now, talk to me about, so you say alternative investments. Are we talking like meme stocks? Are we talking startups? I mean, how do you define alternative investments?
yeah, the way I like to define alternatives is it's anything that's not traditional. So what is traditional then? It's stocks, bonds, and cash. Okay. So what's in the umbrella of alternatives is very vast. It's everything from hedge funds, venture funds, crypto funds, real estate funds, all the way down to artwork, to collectibles, buying and selling comic books, paintings, cars.
What about NFTs? Are NFTs in that somehow?
Yes, they would also be considered alternative as well. And so what we're focused on, though, is we are focused on funds. So we're not the place to go to if you want to invest in somebody's startup, okay, or an entrepreneur startup or whatnot. You could go to AngelList, you could go to Republic for that type of stuff. You come here to invest in funds and fund managers that are picking the startups, for instance. Sure. And because I believe that most people in the world, they're not investors. They're doctors, or lawyers, or engineers, et cetera. And it's okay to have your own Robinhood account. It's okay to have your AngelList account to dabble yourself. But heck, if you're a lawyer, in the courtroom all day long, you're best served putting most of your capital with the trusted manager that you've gotten to know on Prometheus.
And are they categorized? Like, I mean, like if I want to find a hedge fund manager that just does, green energy, for example, or someone who just invests in NFTs or things like that, am I able to find those specific types in there?
Absolutely. They are all categorized. In fact, we have tags for each fund on our platform as well. So you're looking for a low volatility hedge fund that doesn't correlate with the broader equities markets. Okay. Mm-hmm. Here are the 3 funds on our platform that do that. Oh, you're looking for somebody who trades in crypto. Here's a fund that does that. You're looking for a venture fund that focuses on plant-based investing, something even that's specific to that, which we actually have one, Vibrant Ventures, on our platform. We have that. So we allow you to be able to filter and search for funds on our platform.
Does it show their success rate? Can you look and see how well they've been doing with their fund?
Yes. What we want to provide any investor on Prometheus is the ability to do your full end-to-end diligence on our platform, which includes everything from performance, which is what you're alluding to their investment process, to the history of each of the managers as well.
That's interesting, because I wonder, do you have, when you have an access point like that, like your system, and you have access, like you said, to these fund managers, specifically because people can pick ones that go in certain directions. My brain goes to like city and county funds, where, and there's a political aspect, right? You might have a county that has, or some governor of a state, or a mayor of a city that has said, we want to go green energy, for example. And to prove that, we're putting our union funds or whatever into XYZ company, and they could find that manager on your platform, I imagine, right? So, I mean, are you seeing that? Are you seeing either large like unions or government entity funds, retirement funds, things like that, using your site and your system to find the places not only to put their money, but also places where maybe they can feel good about putting their money there, for example?
So I'll address this question a couple ways. Number one, just to be clear, our platform right now, it's still invite only. In fact, we only launched it invite only about a month and a half ago,
Okay.
But your question is an important one, is what am I seeing in the broader sort of investment community for these different funds? And it's not just municipalities or cities or governments or whatnot. It's also there's just a lot of folks that over the last few years have felt the need to, okay, hey, is there a way that I could feel good about capitalism, but also can, have it contribute positively to the world, right? And so there has been a shift in demand and quite a bit of demand for these ESG funds, for environmentally friendly funds, for funds that only invest in like carbon neutral companies like a Tesla or something like that. So there certainly is a drive in the industry from individuals and corporates and governments alike to head into this direction. And by the way, we actually have funds on our platform that donate, one particular fund donates half of their profits to charity.
Wow.
You don't typically think about a hedge fund manager like Bobby Axelrod as being particularly charitable like that. But that you're starting to see a lot of that stuff pop up in the alts world, where these managers, they want to give back.
Yeah, that's interesting. And that's a good thing, right? It's great that that's coming up. All right. Well, it wouldn't be the future of BizTech if I didn't ask the futuristic question here. So let's start with your company. You're obviously very new on the market. What do you got coming down the pipeline? What kind of roadmap can the users be looking forward to as far as options and things they're going to be able to do here in the future on your system?
Yeah, sure. I'll talk about perhaps a couple different features on our near-term roadmap, and I could also talk about longer-term stuff as well. So on the short term, a couple of things. One is we talked about how much friction there is to invest in an alts fund today. Having filled a 100-page subscription document, we have completed building the software, and we're integrating into our platform over the course of the next, let's call it, month or two, an ability to basically almost do one-click checkout to invest in an alts fund. So what we do is this: the first time you come on Prometheus to invest in any fund, we make you fill out the Prometheus subscription document. Okay, think of that as a master subdoc. We save that information and create an investor passport around each user. And then what we do is every future transaction you want to make as an investor on the platform, what we do is we auto-populate every other subdoc going forward, so that all you have to do is DocuSign and wire the money. So getting as close to one-click checkout as possible, making it as frictionless as possible, that is coming to our platform over the course of the next month or two. In addition to that, there's a lot of really cool stuff on our roadmap that we really want to build in. So for instance, groups, the ability for a financial content creator to start a group chat, for instance, on our platform, and make it a paid group to monetize your audience. So there's a lot of these thousands of financial content creators that write newsletters on Substack or have podcasts, et cetera. And they want to monetize their audience in a chat room. They'll be able to do that on Prometheus, and charge $15 a month or $20 a month, whatever it is that they want. So those are a couple of things
like creator subscription content.
Exactly, but in a chat room with, maybe you're a fund manager or retired fund manager, let's call it, and you're still trading with your own capital. You put out a lot of content and you want to monetize your audience. Well, this is a way allowing your audience to come to a daily chat room with you, where you're giving them your real-time thoughts on the markets, and be able to obviously charge a subscription fee for that. So that's a couple of sort of large items on our roadmap over the near term. But longer term, what is our goal for the company? Well, we want to be that central place where everybody, whether you're an individual or an institution, to go to access all of your alternative investments. Simple, plain, end of story, right? Be the Amazon essentially of alternatives. And then at the same point in time, be that central place where you go to get insights directly from the pros, credible insights about investing, about the markets. First place you go to is Prometheus. You don't go to StockTwits or Twitter or any of that other stuff. You come to Prometheus. So that's sort of our longer term goal.
Where do you see just your industry going in the next 5 or 10 years, whether it be, technology wise, legislation wise, right? With a lot of different shifting political winds, culturally, where do you see just you and all your competitors that are doing something similar going to be in the next 5 to 10 years?
Sure. I think number one, there is a lot of demand from retail, the broader retail community, to get exposure to alternatives. Just to give you a frame of reference, if you're a billionaire family office, typically you have, that's called 40% of your assets in alternatives already, because they've had access to alternatives through the ultra wealthy, et cetera. The typical doctor, lawyer, retail person has close to 0% of their assets in alternatives.
Sure.
And so I do believe that over the course of not just the next few years, but over the course of the next 3 decades, you're going to see that shift from traditional investments within a retail portfolio to alternatives. And that's going to grow from 0%, close to 0% what it is today, to something above that. Maybe it's 10, 15, 20, 30%. And that's a mixed shift of trillions of dollars. And we want to be at the center of that, obviously,
Yeah.
But in order for that to also happen in a big way, you do need some changes in the legislation. So that's one thing that you mentioned there. And I do believe that at least the SEC, given that they allow somebody to be deemed accredited to be able to invest in alternative products if they passed some of these license tests, I do believe they're probably headed in the right direction. And I'd like to see more though. Like, why do we even have this $200,000 threshold? Or $1 million net worth threshold? Why do we even need that there? At the very least, take it down to something a lot lower, right? Or better yet, just eliminate that standard altogether. And because these laws, just so you know, we're talking about the Securities Act of 1933 and 1940. I mean, FDR was president. When these laws were enacted, like the biggest invention was Scotch tape. Things have changed in the last 80 years. So, but the laws haven't.
I still use Scotch tape. I don't know about you.
Hey, no, I have nothing against Scotch tape, but the point of the matter is that a lot of things have changed. Technology has changed. The reason why these laws were put in place was due to what happened during the Depression. Like, we're in a different stage. We're in a different era right now. So the laws need to change. And from a technological standpoint, I do believe that our industry today, I like to say, is equivalent to brick and mortar retail of 20 years ago. If you believe in technology and advancement, then everybody's, all the funds, all the people, they're going to be on Prometheus, right? To be able to transact frictionless. And that's what we offer. We've built the tools to be able to process these transactions frictionless. And so, so I do believe that companies like ours will do a lot in removing all different frictions, all different barrier points for people to be able to access alternative products.
Perfect. I have one question left for you. Completely unrelated in a way. What did you want to be as a kid? And then and is this it? And if not, how did it get to this?
Yeah. So what I want to be as a kid almost like shifted depending on the age, but certainly in middle school. What was I doing a lot? I was doing 2 things. So I was playing a lot of video games. So particularly a game called Duke Nukem 3D.
Oh, I remember Duke Nukem.
And actually, I used to compete, and I think at one point I was ranked like 11th in the world or something.
No kidding.
I was a total nerd, obviously. The other thing I used to do a lot was skateboard. And so I either wanted to be a professional video, which nowadays that's actually a respectable profession. You can actually make a lot of money. Just ask Ninja, Back then, not very respectable, and certainly my parents did not want me to go in that direction. And then skateboarding, I just love skateboarding. I would skateboard like 4 hours a day, and doing tricks and stairs and rails and all that type of stuff. But listen, I wasn't good enough by any means to become a professional at that, you know. So how did I shift from those sort of more personal interests to investing? Well, it's actually because my parents, you know, we're immigrants from Taiwan, and when we came to America, we didn't have much money. And it was actually through investing, my parents teaching themselves how to invest in the markets, how to invest in real estate and stuff like that, that they realized the American dream. So I grew up, you know, watching my parents wake up early in the morning to trade stocks, you know, for instance. And so I was exposed to it at a very early age. Maybe in the back of my head, subconsciously, I was like, all right, ultimately, I'm going to do this. Then maybe I'll be a bit rebellious and try to do skateboarding or something like that beforehand. And so it was always an interest of mine. And, you know, in high school, I was trading and I was the president of the investment club and doing all that stuff. So it was probably going to happen. I was always interested. And then plus I sort of grew up exposed to investing at a very early age.
Very cool. Now you did mention that it's invite only, right?
It is invite only right now. However, for listeners of your show, I want to get them access today. So use the code BIRD, BIRD, to create a free account. This entire platform is free. And go to PrometheusAlts.com to access it, or Google Prometheus in the Apple App Store, and you can download the app there too.
Awesome. And how can people reach you, maybe personally, if they need to, for maybe kind of high level talks or deals?
Sure. You can visit me on my Instagram. It's Mike_Prometheus. And so you can reach me there. You can reach me on LinkedIn as well. Search for Michael Wang Prometheus, and you'll find me there as well. So and also we have our own direct message platform on Prometheus. So when you get on Prometheus, direct message me. I always reply.
Very cool. And for everyone listening out there, again, if you like what you heard today, be sure to subscribe to this podcast. Give it a 5-star rating with some comments behind it, so other techies like us can find it and enjoy learning about all these amazing and helpful B2B softwares and on the market today. Again, Michael, thank you so much for being on the show with us today. And I am going to check it out. I think it's really cool. And I'm going to, like I said, I'm going to be doing some research on the old company, and I'm going to start looking up images on Google to see how it compares to Axe Capital.
Yeah, if you want some stories, I have those too. We could do that over a beer or something.
Oh yeah, no, I'll take that. I'll take you up on that. Awesome. Thanks for being on the show, Michael. Have a good one.
Thank you.